Thank you, Kira, for your fine words, Mayor, ministers, and dignitaries. Welcome again to Reykjavik. I'm just showing this slide of the city you won't see during this visit because it's much brighter at this time of the year. But I want to take you to a short journey on investing in health and well-being. It's kind of a personal journey. I grew up in one of the suburbs. It was like that. It was one of my proudest moments where we were bragging about some soccer tournaments. But I was really a part of a generation that had only one real European record. That was in youth drinking and use of drugs. And this is actually a picture from Reykjavik during 3 at night, where youth down to 13-year-olds blended in with the grown-ups coming out from the bars, drinking and partying like there was no tomorrow. I was never going into politics. It wasn't my plan. I was actually a young medical doctor working at the hospital when I was hijacked into that. I was going to study infectious diseases and pandemics, but decided to try out politics. And one of the things that kept me there and is still keeping me there is projects where I was working with grassroots and people, often under the leadership of women. Yes, you need women to take the brave steps that really matters in politics. And one of the projects that I was part of from my early start in politics was preventive work, where we in 13 years went from being the city with the most youth drinking, smoking and use of drugs to the city with the lowest numbers in Europe. And the interesting part is that we know why. We monitored it, we had a scientific concept, so it's evidence-based approach with defining risk factors and protective factors that led us there. And that experience has inspired me and others to use the same methodology on a large scale of projects, strategies, and implementation. Walking around Reykjavik and driving or traveling around Iceland can make you forget where it is and what it is. We're up there, quite small, based on the conventional GDP measurement. We have gone from being one of the poorest nations in Europe to one of the wealthiest in about 100 years. But we're still quite few, but we almost all live around Reykjavik. So what happens in Reykjavik matters a lot. We can see this picture of the city, and we like the colors of the houses and how we know Reykjavik today. But little less than 100 years ago, we could actually see smog over a much smaller town because we were still burning coal to do the cooking and heating of the houses. Although we had our gold, the geothermal energy, under our feet. So with a mixture of goal setting, science, and investment, we took a great leap for health, for equality, and for welfare in society by hooking every house up to central heating based on geothermal energy, the last steps taken in the oil crisis of the 70s. As our mayor said, the obvious example of it is the open public swimming pools, and actually the artificial beach, which is heated up by geothermal water, and you can visit during these days. And that's a giant step that means that we have lower heating costs and sustainable green energy that we can be envied of. Now we are trying to be inspired in the area of transportation to do as our past generations did with central heating, to change the modes of transport. And we are also doing that by having a quite steep way in going to zero waste. So these are the numbers put into landfills, and that is a political decision. It's also about new infrastructure and about every home and company doing the handling of waste differently. And what on earth does this have to do with teenagers stopping drinking? Yes, because we saw that we went from being the worst to the best in Europe in these numbers by investing and planning and holding out for a number of years. Because action has consequences, and when we hear those words, we connect it to something bad happening. But actually, we need to tell the stories of something good happening because we take action as well to get those stories out. So what we invested in was young people. As the mayor mentioned, a use of leisure card, a voucher system that provided equity and much more equal access to sports and arts education, not only in the some parts of Reykjavik, but actually in all districts of Reykjavik. And by giving out the grants, we can monitor it also where we have kind of loopholes or less high numbers, but the average is around 83%. But when we look into international comparison, we also see that all this work has created a momentum that has led us politically to have a consensus in investing and providing much more money into sports and leisure for young people than most other countries. My red thread in my work as mayor has been a focus on public health and health. And what I've learned through this project and others is that equity is really the key to public health. And actually, inequality is the strongest determinant of disease. And having a hard time dealing with disease, and it's much stronger than smoking or any other determinant of health that medicine knows of. The role of politics in public health is to base what you do on data and analysis. You have to have a focus on equality. You have to provide funding for the priorities, and you have to have a focus on children, in my opinion. The oldest and the youngest. But what I've learned in city politics is that it's not all about money. It's a lot about planning and land use in a city. But I'm proud to say that Reykjavik has a comprehensive, wide-going strategy for public health. Not all cities in the world have a public health strategy, and I think that we have one of the few ones that is not only focusing on health, but actually also on well-being, the theme of this conference. And from there, we have arrived to a set of guiding principles and analyses where we use tools from the WHO the Marmot Review, where we are focusing in on where the pockets of inequality can do the most damage and where we as a society can do most good by going in and implementing things. I've, of course, no time to go into this in detail, but I just want to use this opportunity to thank other cities and the WHO for a lot of outstanding work that we have been inspired by, we have learned from, and that is kind of a key to who we are, being a small city or medium city maybe, in a small country that we know and take for granted that we don't know everything and we can learn a lot from other people. But we have tried to channel and put all these learnings, strategies, and actions plan into one holistic strategy that we call the Green Plan. So the focus points for the next years in public health are a part of a comprehensive Green Plan, which is a holistic vision on the city with its master plan as the base, but also the public health strategy, the climate strategy, the educational strategy, the welfare strategy, etc., where we put forward a simple but big vision about Reykjavik, where we are striving for a healthy environment, equal opportunities, good services, and a vibrant economy that does not waste natural resources. We focus on a green city, a growing city, a city for people, and that's a strange one. Take all the other strategies and pull it into one, defining indicators and measurements that helps us to not go through all of these at each year, but how we are going in the holistic strategy. We are linking it into the sustainable development goals, but we are really basing it on the good old definition of sustainability of the former director of WHO, Gro Harlem Brundtland, the environment, the economy, and the social aspect. Setting key objectives, and what do we get out of all of this? The 4 elements of a well-being economy, where we think we can learn from others how they are developing their thoughts about it, but we have also something to share. And that was it. Thank you very much.